Wait. Here I am. Robert is here. Bloodnose is here. Good to see you, good people. How are you doing? How is your evening? I'll wait for myself to pop up, as per usual. One day I'll actually figure this out. I don't look at. I don't actually know when it's cut off and when it makes it into the video. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but now I'm here. I'm live. It's the Nazarite, bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Hello, Robert. Hello, Bloodnose. Others who perhaps will be joining us. Maybe, maybe not. Yes, tea. I'm having wild berries tea. Are you reading Torah and drinking tea? So, well, my chumash is actually on the table next to me. Today, yo, says BMXers. Hello, right back at you. Today, I learned from a book today? I didn't learn from a book. I did have a quick discussion on the weekly Torah portion with a dude at work who I have an ongoing mini well, not mini, it's mini in time, but maximum in loveliness, where we discuss the weekly Torah portion a few minutes in the morning. Oh no, pre-wearing today? No pre-wearing? I'm not sure what you mean. Bloodnose says, oh, preaching? Where you go? No, you weren't going for preaching. What is pre-wearing? Pre-warring? Pre-wearing? Shalom, everyone. Luckily, I got a notification. Oh, what? Warning? What is he trying to say? It's going to try to be a warning. There you go. Okay. Jesse, hello, hello, hello. Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel. Adonai is our Elohim. Adonai is one. Bloodnose says, I've been wondering about vegetarianism. If God created us to eat animals, are we avoiding part of his design by trying to do better? No. The way that I think about it personally is that if you're going to abstain because of how God created us, or partake because of how God created us, then you need to define it more clearly for me if we're going to discuss it. For me, I see the original me as the creature from Eden, and where I am holding in that body, if you will, of Adam Arishon. And to me, the world was created vegan. So, as I read the Torah in the story of creation, which means that that's the kind of thing where I go, that's God created us with the capacity for eating animals, and with the capacity, certainly these days, of abstaining from eating animals and animal products. You could argue over nutrition and diet. Of course, I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist, or if we're talking about how God created us, I see the world and mankind as being created primarily vegan in Eden, and then only later with the fall and the expulsion, starting with the flood, where, okay, eat meat, and coming down to the laws of kashrut and purity and impurity of a living thing. And this idea of eating animals and animal products, and I've done this in the past before I went completely vegetarian, I used to save those times for new moons and for festivals, for holidays, for Sabbaths. Because on days like that, where the covenant and the unity is baked into the day, so to speak, built right into it, it means that you can elevate the animal products that you consume, eat. Not everybody, let's say, has the capacity of truly elevating that which they eat and drink on a daily basis. And some people say because of this, meat specifically should be kept for Shabbat and, and the holidays and so on. But if we're talking about how God created us, I see it as a vegan thing. Now, if we're talking about it, we're carnivorous, we're herbivorous, we're omnivorous. I know that there are different opinions on what exactly we are, right? Based on the teeth and based on the intestines and based on the fact that we hunt using tools and not our mouth, so to speak. There are differences. There are things that make us more herbivorous and more carnivorous. So, to each his own. It's such a delicate mechanism. And I stopped eating meat in my 20s, but I ate meat for long stretches of time throughout my childhood and in my teens, so I got what I needed during childhood and puberty, right? In adolescence, I got it from the meat. I got protein from animal products, and only later did I go vegetarian and vegan. So I wouldn't know what to say about that, practically speaking. Now, are we avoiding part of his design by trying to do better? No, I see us as exactly going back to the original design to the degree that we can here in this world, to mirror Eden in the ways that we can here, knowing full well with full consciousness and cognizance of the fact that we are not in Eden. We have been taken out of there, right? Kicked out. We need to make our journey back on an individual level. It's, to me anyway, it speaks, try and be more like Eden, try in your life to make up for the error that was done there. And those are two things, right? Partaking of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil when they ought not have yet. So that it says to me, be patient. And casting the blame onto somebody else and saying it was the woman, oh, it was the serpent. It speaks to me and says, take responsibility for your actions, be humble, and try and do better, instead of blaming others. Not that right, those are ideals, right? Patience and humility. That's keter for you. Patience and humility. Luckily, I got a notification, said Sneezer. Luckily indeed. Hello, Robert, BMXers, Sneezer, my fellow regulars, says Bloodnose. And what fun, how lovely that there are a few regulars here. And Robert going back many, many years. Robert and Paula Harrison. BMXers as well, many years. Over different profile names and incarnations, as it were.
No.
Hi, are tensions high in Israel with Iran? Tensions are always high. If you're talking about Iran, more so than a few months ago, perhaps. But things are always on high tension, and you never know what will happen. It's more pronounced now, to be sure. Timangwa, welcome back. But it's always high. Seriously. And I'm saying that as just a dumbass, regular civilian dumbass. Sneezer says to Jesse, 3 and 1 even, many more than 3 in truth. Wait, what? It just hop somewhere? What did he say? Did I miss something that Jesse said? Oh, okay, there it is. That's my problem with Christianity. The Torah destroys the 3 in 1 claim. And then Sneezer said, what's going on with the chat? It keeps bouncing. The chat is bouncing. All right, let's see.
Maybe it's because of the computer.
Sneezer says, no, I don't know what it is. I am very against how they kill the animals, though. Can't win. Yeah, you can't win. You can't win. There's always, much like energy that's always shifting and into different forms.
No, not giving you anything.
There's this, seems to be this rule of you can't win because good and evil is part of this world. It's part of that duality. And no good deed goes unpunished. Elaine is kind of cute in a dorky way. Well, if you're talking about Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I have... First of all, yes, she's got a very pretty face, and there's certain hairdos that she had that were more Elaine than others, as far as I'm concerned, I guess. Anyway, ones I associate more with Elaine, I suppose. But if you're not talking about Elaine Bennis, the character, Elaine Marie Bennis. That's her name. Pinky! No, have a seat. And you think hunching over is the thing to do? That'll stop her? Pinky! No, you're being a bully. Knock it off. It's true. You gotta be more assertive with her, I guess.
What's that mean?
Jesse, I thought you were Muslim, says BMXers. Hello. Robert Harrison says, BMXers, what's new in your life? Jesse says, I am, but I have to believe in the Torah as well. Right? The people of the book. Though, believe, when you say you have to believe in it, you don't mean carry it out. Or do you mean actually carry it out and be more Torah-oriented than Quran-oriented as a Muslim? I wouldn't think that's possible. That's probably not what you mean, that you must believe in it. I'm assuming you mean believe that it was given to Nabi Musa, the Prophet Moses, on Mount Sinai. I'm assuming that that's something that Muslims will agree with, but much like Christianity, they say, yes, but this is the final, this is the omega of it all. Ay. This is very good tea. I'm happy with this tea. Jesse links, a verse in Isaiah proves the triune version of one God. Well, and this is why he said Torah annihilates that. He said annihilate? I'm sorry, it destroys. He said the Torah destroys 3 in 1, and you quoted a prophet, which is not the same as Torah, right? We have a hierarchy. You've got Torah and prophets and writings. And that hierarchy, if you will, of sacredness, of how set apart is it, it's there for a reason. So, Robert, if you're quoting somebody to counter a verse in Torah or an idea in Torah, then, as Jesse did, it would be beneficial if you quoted Torah back rather than a prophet. But that's just, I'm just how I see it right here. Right, because the prophets were here to turn us back to Torah, back to the covenant. And so to bring a verse from the prophets which invalidates, let's say, an idea in the Torah, that is at least traditionally, rabbinically, not a thing. Maybe, likely there are outliers which escape my mind or I haven't learned them. But by and large, if you're going to bring a verse from Torah and you want to contradict it, and you want to find something that's in the middle, you want to find a third verse to bring the other two that were at odds together, then it needs to be from Torah. And maybe afterwards you can bring a quote from, I'm thinking, let's say, in Talmud. But I digress. Outside time, says Sneezer, there's only one thing / being, God in parentheses, but God made time out of God. The only thing to make time out of, and thus became everything. Yeah, and this is where Sneezer and I disagree, where I see that very much as a break between creator and creation. Jesse says to Robert, I'm sorry, in Quran and Torah both say God is one, no hard feelings. Sneezer says to Jesse, well done, but remember you believe in Jesus' divinity too, or are supposed to. So Robert quoted that verse to Jesse. No hard feelings, he says, at all, brother. Paula says, I agree with you, Jonathan. I am a vegetarian, have been one for 12 years. I grew up eating meat, especially being a Southern. I hear that's some good non-kosher eating you got going on there. But I don't believe it was God's original design for us to eat animals. Right, and even though we may have evolved that way now, in some ways, and in other ways we are still herbivorous, the original design, as I see it, and as it's laid out in Torah, is veganism. Yeah. So Sneezer says, no, you're reading that backwards, HN, or YouTube is showing it. Okay, so it jumped, and so my 3 in 1, says Sneezer, and many in 1 was in reference to Jesse saying, Hero Israel, Yah is one. Okay. BMXers says, lay beside me, tell me what I've done, the doors closed, so are your eyes. But now I see the sun, now I see the sun. Yes, now I see it, what I've felt, what I've known. Turn the pages, turn the stone. Oh, that's Unforgiven too. Behind the door, should I open it for you? Or are you unforgiven too? Ezra says, תמיד שמח לראות אותך בשידור חי. אדון האל של ארץ ישראל יברך אותך. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Ezra. I do. It's nice to see you here again. It is always glad to see you live. The Master, the God of Israel, will bless you. Or may No, there's no may. It will bless you. Thanks, Ezra. I appreciate it. Jesse, nor does Christianity say God is not one, said Sneezer. Nor does Christianity say God is not one, I say. Jonathan, you are very good at impressions. Can you do your best Kramer? I wouldn't. It would have to be spontaneous.
What's Kramer?
Kramer is Cosmo Kramer, who is it's a character played by Michael Richards. A comedy, a real, quite an actor. We got so many Kramerisms going on in my head right now. Okay, so Neezer says, are you Ottawa senator? Are you a senator, Sneezer? Sneezer says, if a Muslim doesn't believe Jesus and or Muhammad changes the covenant, then yes, they must carry out Torah. If they don't believe Jesus and or Muhammad changed the covenant, then yes, they must carry out Torah. Right, okay. But presumably that idea of Islam is this is the final word of God, unchanged. Ezra says Jew and Gentile alike is born with both a good and an evil inclination. Yes, what's called Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. What is it, my love? You off to bed?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Yes, good and evil, much like the nature of this world, right? A world of knowledge of good and evil. And so much ink and blood has been spilled over this question of good and evil. And while, again, there are outliers, mostly we know right from wrong. Mostly, in the beginning, we can do something about it. Jew and Gentile alike, like it says in the Tana Devei Eliyahu, in the lore of the master of the house of Eliyahu, where he's quoted saying that the heaven and earth are my witnesses. The heaven and earth are my witnesses. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, a slave or a handmaid or a free individual. It doesn't matter if you're a Gentile or one of the Hebrews. In accordance with your behavior will the Holy Spirit, and it says Ruach HaKodesh. It's not the Christian Holy Spirit, right? It's the Ruach HaKodesh, spirit of sacredness. To the degree that a person gets his act together, that Ruach HaKodesh is able to lay and dwell upon him. And that's what it comes down to, really, really simply and simplistically. Because it is complicated. Neither says to Robert, not a hockey player nor member of parliament, no. Hockey player. Jesse says, yes, that's what I mean. It was given to Moses, peace be upon him. Okay, so yes. So just like other Muslims believe, it was given to him. Is this one of the biggest houses you lived? Yes, it is the biggest house I've lived in.
Holland.
Oh, I'm sorry, the one in the Netherlands was larger. Was it larger?
Yeah, it's shalosh komot, and yes, the rooms were big.
Yeah, the rooms. Okay, yeah. So yeah. Yeah, so this is the second largest.
And also at the top, you had a bunch of space.
That's not a bunch of space. I had my office. Well, let's not argue about that now. Yes, it was a big house in the Netherlands. That house in the Netherlands was the best house out of every house I've ever lived in to go through Corona and the lockdowns. The Netherlands were always okay with it, and they didn't go too far, I believe. Habitu elav seha Elohim, behold the Lamb of God, says Robert Harrison. Abel, hello Abel. Abel, Groen or Groenfeld or Veld? I think it's Groenfeld. Groenfeld? Is it Groenfeld or Groenveld or Groenveld? Which one is it? Is that I'd love to know. And Greenfield, I'm assuming. So Abel Greenfield is Hevel, right? Hevel. That's where Abel died, in the field. So if your name is actually Abel Groenfeld, it's obviously a very common name, but to be Abel in the green field, that's something. Hi, hello to you. You said, here I'm going off on your username. Why, you might be a bot. A little bittle bot. A little bittle bootle bottle bot. This bot.
Code word.
This one.
His name is.
BMXers. Okay, Sneezer replied to BMXers. Jesse said to BMXers, I believe Allah gave the Torah to Moses, peace be upon him. Right, okay. I am Christian, says Abel, and I support Israel. Many thanks for the support, Abel. I appreciate that. Where are you from in the world, if you don't mind sharing? Hey, Stoner Cod is here again. A code is here again. Ooh, pardon me. The Rambam, Maimonides, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, Ezra says, the Rambam seems to view walking in the ways of God and being holy like him as expressing two sides of the same coin. Well, if I recall my Rambam, who's very much a logical and a logical scholar, let's say, very influenced by Greek philosophy or certain philosophers. Walking in the ways of God and being holy like him is expressing two sides of the same coin. I'm not sure where the split is for the Rambam when you say that. Do you mean that there are 2 degrees of keeping Torah and mitzvot? I mean, that's the same coin, literally. Being holy like him is setting yourself apart in the way which manifests, which to the best degree manifests that innate image of God and brings it to the foreground. And so, if that's what I'm understanding there, it's one and the same. So 2 sides of the same coin. I'd say it's the same side of the same coin, I guess. It's just different ways of phrasing it. Why are they 2 sides? What is happening here? Well, Abel, we are discussing spirituality, religion, faith, self-development, or any topic you'd want to bring into the discussion. Here, live in Jerusalem. Are you Zionist? Yes, I am. I do believe in the right.
What's the Zionist?
And the historical right, if not biblical right. But I also don't believe that those who are here should be kicked out. I want to live side by side in peace with my neighbors. I'm on the outside, I'm looking in, quotes, BMXers, I can see through you, I see your true colors, see to the real you, because inside you're ugly, ugly like me. Well, you quoted that, last night, 2 nights ago? I don't believe we are inherently evil, though. Well, what do you consider evil? If you mean malevolence, that is usually socialized out of a person between 2 and 4, 2 and 5. So, if you're talking about evil as in that there is a duality, where the words Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Ra, good and evil inclination, means ego, or rather, what would it be? It would be the id? No, it wouldn't be the id. It would be the ego and the... Is it the id and the ego? My Freudian terms are being... Hang on. Let me get this for a second here. No, I don't remember. There's the id, the ego, and the superego. Anyway, it's what I'm trying to say here, and I messed up the Freud thing, but if it's the fact that there's a duality and that you have opposing forces, as it were, living inside you, that is definitely the case. Because we need to contend with these things even if we are quite social and socialized between 2 and 4, or 2 and 5. There's a lot to contend with. Which is why bar and bat mitzvah, 12 and 13 respectively, 13 and 12 respectively, bar and bat mitzvah, it's adolescence, it's the beginning of adolescence, at the beginning of puberty, of maturing in a lot of ways, and that's precisely the time to go, and now the burden of mitzvahs is upon you, young one. Go, do something with yourself. Because there are quite possibly things that are inherent in you. If you don't want to call them evil, don't call them evil, but they're definitely pushing and pulling in different ways. Now let me get this straight here for a second. The id is our deepest, darkest desires. The ego is the right, where we project a persona, and the superego, I'm mixing it up. I don't remember it all. I need to get back to my basics with the Freudian terms. Here's to feeling good all the time. Tell me your son doesn't know who Kramer is, but does know who Michael Richards is. No, I just gave him both. No. He wouldn't know who Michael... Just don't do your Michael Richards stand-up comedy routine impression. No, I don't plan on... Hello, Splash Fuzz. I actually never saw the stand-up, not the one where he... where... where he fell from grace. And not other stand-ups that he did. But it sounds like he went off on a few people there, even if they were heckling him. I don't know. And I've said this before, I'm not of the opinion that any type of person with some kind of relatively, a person's melanin content should not dictate what he or she cannot say. I'll just leave that, I'll just put that right there and leave it there. My best version of Krusty the Clown is, aha.
Me, Emma?
Cheers, I have tea too. And a bong, James Bong.
Too bad tea time isn't here. Because it's just the time for a tea.
Good call. So neither says, but final word of God doesn't necessarily create a new covenant. In my understanding, it doesn't. Final word of God doesn't necessarily create a new covenant. So where do you stand on the New Testament literally being called Habrit HaChadashah, the New Testament or the New Covenant? I'm curious how you see it.
I think it is.
So Nezer says, Jesus made the final one because he sacrificed to end all sacrifices. Can't sacrifice anymore, thus can't make new covenant. Well, can't sacrifice anymore because he was the final thing, you say. So if I understand you, Sneezer, as a follower of Jesus, are saying that he was the final sacrifice, and because of that, there can't be a new covenant, because there are no more sacrificial offerings to be brought to the table. Why would that necessarily mean that you cannot make a new covenant that abstains from any type of offering, if you're going to go with that? I don't quite see how one immediately would lead to the other. Ezra says, I want to ask Christian to interpret Exodus 20, verses 4 and 5. Looking into it, says Sneezer. God is energy, duh. Yes, God manifests as energy. He reveals himself in all forms of energy. Danny Bong Bong. So we have James Bong and Danny Bong Bong. All we need is Mr. Manny Bing Bong, and we are good to go. We are off to the races. If Mr. Manny Bing Bong shows up, well, that'll be the D.
Mr. Bonnie Bing Bong.
You're Mr. Manny Bing Bong?
Yeah.
Well, right here.
Psych. I'm not him.
Oh, you're not him.
Oh, wait. I am.
I'm sorry.
I am. I promise.
Time's up.
No, I am.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I am.
I'm sorry. Don't do your Michael. Wait, the chat just jumped. No, don't move my arm, please. Right, sorry, I had to say that now again, otherwise you'll not see it again. Sorry, I am trying to go one by one. Ezra, we did not make Jesus, the Father did. We did not make Jesus, comma, the Father did. Duh, said Sneezer. Ezra, I take Shmot, those verses just as it is. Dead wrong to make graven images, which is why Catholicism is bad. Yeshua good, he says. So you are also not in the graven image things? We worship the example, or should worship, Sneezer says. We worship or should worship the example. Shalom, all you beautiful souls, and a hearty emoji. Thank you, James Bong. Lovely. I love the good energies you're bringing here, man.
Well, James Bong.
BMXer says, Abel, never seen that spelling or surname as such before. Only Grunwald and other derivations thereof. I may have seen that in the past. Robert says, Jonathan, anybody ever told you since you've been working out your bicep is getting chiseled?
What's that?
Chisel means that it's getting defined.
What's that?
A definition means that you can see the curve.
Cool.
Yes, it's good to work out regularly. I'm loving it. What a way to start the day. Obviously, I've done it before, but yeah, I'm maintaining in the gym. Sneezer says, for an example, speaking of which, so many different posts and articles and on the fact that men don't get compliments. Not from men and not from women. By and large, men get very few compliments. And it's been said that most of the time, the first flowers that a man gets, it's at his funeral. So, the fact that you, Robert, you kind soul, the fact that you would speak up. So, anybody ever told you, my woman and my boys, but no, so you. Thank you.
Told you what?
That the bicep is getting chiseled.
What's that?
It means that the bicep, which is this,
Yeah.
you're starting to see the shape of it.
Oh yeah, you can.
Yes.
Are you flexing?
I'm not flexing.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
Exactly, that's what he's saying. So I deeply appreciate it. And Robert, I'll return a compliment and say, you are indeed a kind soul, a good soul. It's really lovely to have this digital relationship with you, and I do hope to meet you one day. That would be
Do you
pretty
have a
sweet.
number? We don't have a number. How will we meet them?
It's doable. People met each other before there were telephones as well. Why, we could write snail mail letters to each other.
We can do that.
For an example, so and just to wrap that up, people, don't be afraid to give compliments. Do it respectively, do it politely. But some people, it will make their day, their week, their month, their life. A compliment that's genuine, not over the top. Something just oh, here it is. I've noticed this. Good on you. Whatever it is. That could lift a person's spirit and have them be seen, and be seen for something which someone else might appreciate, and for them to take the time to acknowledge it and verbalize it and say it, all of those things mixed together in an instance, in a moment, in a sentence, in a good word, it can enliven a person, truly. For an example of why worshipping the image bad, I'm pretty sure, said Sneezer, I'm pretty sure Jesus was black, at least before transfiguration. Makes some sense that he was not a white European. Did the music video I posted show up in the comments section from Shiloh Ben Hod? I saw you posted something just now before I went live, and I didn't click on it, but I saw that it was there. I don't recall if it was in the back end, in the creators section of YouTube, or in the actual chat, the comments section of the video in question. I don't remember right now if it was on the back end or on the front end, but I saw it. So Nezer says before, and thought it before Russia opened its archives. Russia opening its archives is what made Jesus white? The images? I'm not understanding. You're saying that one example of why worshipping the image is bad is because you're pretty sure Jesus was black before at least the transfiguration, and thought it before Russia opened its archives. So what is the connection to the Russian archives? I'm ignorant, please enlighten me. Do the Russian archives of the old Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, do they have images and drawings or of a black Jesus? I'm curious. Didn't quote the whole thing though, the ugly part. Right, that's right, that part was new. Ego, id, and superego, says James Bong. Yes, but at the time when I was discussing it and trying to give a kind of something analogous to it in the psyche, I couldn't think of what goes of, yeah. So Nezer says, and to worship the name is to ignore the lesson entirely, which is of love, not ego. Well, what do you mean by to worship the name? What is to worship the name as opposed to worshiping that in which the name, that which the name reveals? Or rather, not worshiping that which the name reveals, but worshiping the namesake, which we give names to. To worship the name is to ignore the lesson entirely, which is of love, not ego. I agree that ultimately the lesson is of love, not ego. To worship the name, I'm not sure what you mean. A name is a revelation, and I only deal with revelations of God, and not with God mamish, really. Because, again, creator, creation. So, worship, to me, means act in the way of the tree of life. Try and manifest the divine attributes from Keter to Malchut as best you can. It's also why I love the book Tomer Devorah by the Ramak. And it tells you what to do and what to avoid and how to behave in each of the divine attributes in such a way where you will be able to channel that divine energy and really become that image of God by mirroring the 10 Sfirot. It's a nice book to go back. I don't do everything there, obviously, but it's a lovely book to go back to and to remind myself of. Did anyone here in Israel they discovered Joshua's altar? Well, I know they discovered several altars. I don't know if recently. Do you mean recently? Like really recently? JNNMJNNN says, I get your answer and it's beautiful. Living life where you are born shouldn't be privilege. I'm sad that country is full of sadness. As a European Muslim, this is first time listening to a Jew. Well, hey, welcome. Assalamu alaikum. And marhaba to you. To live together, ideally. I heard that recently. Oh, so it did happen recently, Sneezer says to Rob. Cool. My blood brother is a Muslim, says Sneezer. That reminds me of Avatar and blood bending. Congratulations, Katara. You're a blood bender. James Bong, that's a super funny scene indeed. Splash Buzz, hey, shalom. What a great scene that is. Oh my God. They suspect him of being a cokehead. Yes, and he was. Bloodnose says, thank you for taking the time to explain all things asked so comprehensively and completely. You are great. I definitely don't do it comprehensively. And I don't do it completely. Do not forget that. This is the tip of the iceberg, and even that tip is like the tip of a tip. And I'm probably screwing it up, too. I just call it the way I see it, or the way I perceive it, or the way I learned it, and sometimes I do screw it up. But I really appreciate the support and the kind words. As always, I don't know if I merit them, but I deeply appreciate it, and I don't take it for granted. Yes, good episode. Really good episode. For you are the pillar, says Ezra, the pillar of the word. That's what they proclaimed in the heavens. Was there? Well, there's a quotation. Wait, incredible letter from the Baba Sali requesting the Rebbe's permission to move to New York and spend the rest of his life in the Rebbe's courtyard. Ooh, that is really interesting. The Rebbe's permission and to live in the courtyard. For you are the pillar of the word. That's what they proclaimed in the heavens. Pillar of the word. Voila. You know what? I'll look that up. Hold on a second. I want to look that up. I'm going to just copy and paste this right here. Okay. Continuing with the chat, I've been going for 40 minutes now, and I really, genuinely, deeply appreciate every single one of you. I've got 17 people watching right now and 4 likes, and the chat is on a regular basis now. I arrive a couple of minutes before, and people are already talking in the chat, and it's so lovely to see that little digital connections are being made here. It's awesome. I love the way that it's happening nicely and organically, and once again, that you people are... it's such good vibes. It's such good vibes on this live stream. And there are points of disagreement and contention as there should be. But as I said, I think it's marvelous that you people are able to just... I am able also to be a bit more civilized, and it's just a digital platform. So we might as well show some digital respect. At least until it's broken or taken away. Sneezer says, Jesus died to make a new covenant, ending all sacrifices and reducing the law to love your neighbor, God, more. Yes, I understand that from a Christian point of view. So once you end all sacrifices, you reduce... So, I'm trying to understand. You're saying Jesus died to make a new covenant, ending all sacrificing and reducing the law. Love your neighbor, God, more. See, here's the thing. I don't think it's a new covenant. I think this is based on things which do appear in Torah. Hence, it's not a new covenant and should not have become a new religion. To reduce the law to love your neighbor, God, more is something I think that a lot of... No, let's not say that. Let's say that in the actual writings of the sages, you can see such things being mirrored. Love your neighbor, love your God. And the rabbinic and Orthodox tradition places a great degree of significance on those things. Rabbi Akiva, right? Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love thy neighbor, ze klal gadol b'Torah. It's a very great rule in the Torah. Right? It has force. To name one. To make a new religion out of it, or to say that that's a new covenant, I don't think that that is the new covenant which is spoken of in Isaiah. Or rather it is, but even if Jesus was an example of that, let's say, as you say, the finest example ever, I don't see how that means ending all sacrifices. That is a new covenant. Ever since the destruction of the temple, our sacrificial offerings have been primarily words, money, kind gestures. Right? Torah, mitzvot, v'maasim tovim. Over half of the commandments have to do with the temple and the tabernacle, the temple, and the ritual worship. That time after the temple was destroyed, everything had to be reduced to 4 cubits of halacha in order for the Orthodox rabbinic way to survive in the great exile of Edom. I don't know if that's ending all sacrifices, right? It metamorphosed from a temple-centric priest authority to a, let's say, synagogue-centric, if you will, and rabbi and sage-centric. Because that's what made it through exile. That's how primarily we survived as Hebrews, as Jews, as Israelites. At least in this particular exile. So I don't see it quite the same way as a follower of Jesus does, Sneezer. LOL, James Bond is a fighter pilot ace from WW2, even buildings named after him here in USA. That makes sense. Can you speak Hebrew? כן, Anonymous. אני דובר עברית מבית, עברית צחה. So, yes, I can. BMXer says he went to South America. South America? Newman. Bong says it actually has nothing to do with bongs or weed, LOL. Oh, well, that's all right. Now, is this James Bong individual someone you idolize? An ace fighter pilot, you say? Can you give us some stats? And when did he die? JNN continues, I'm happy to hear that, Sneezer. Our religion was always okay with Jewish people. Extremes on all sides made differences. People who believe in weird things that are not even close to truth and message. Well, I don't, living in this part of the world, I'm exposed to a lot of the hateful, vengeful, wrathful Islam. And some of the better Islam. But not much. It's there if I want to look for it, obviously. I'm just saying, as somebody who's just living life here, going through these wars all the time. The prophecy came alive in Ezekiel, saying there will be a fish in the Dead Sea. By a fish in the Dead Sea, you mean it's Jesus and the Jesus fish? And he... But didn't... Wait, what do you mean by fish in the Dead Sea? India, Israel are brothers. Says Raul, with his flexed bicep.
My flexed bicep.
Sneezer says to JNN, personally, I'm Christian. My blood brother brought me back to Jesus, actually, ironically. Actually, ironically? No. One is enough. You can move. Well, all right, but not. Just don't lean on. Don't lean too far. Bing bong. Shalom, Pinky, says Robert, and Bong says, haha, bing bong. JNN, he did try to make me Muslim, but Jesus came to me and put a stop to that. Sneezer replies. Well, Bong says, haha, bing bong. That's what he said.
Dang it! I thought Bing Bong was here. Bong,
And you
bing,
missed
bong.
my news again for the 5th time now, probably. Sorry. What is it?
No.
A bing bong?
Yeah.
Well, you go ding dong the bing bong, and I'll swing bong the wing wong.
Now.
Man, bing bong, where are you? Yeah, right, Robert? Where is he? Just when we need him the most, he vanishes.
The food today was so good.
The food today was very good.
The hamburger, fries.
Yes, those were very good, I'm sure. JNN, ha, message is most important, brother. Our prophet even called Christian, Jews, and Zoroastrians people of the book. We are very close. Differences start where shirk comes in. What kind of shirk? When you leave things, you mean? Most importantly, Sneezer says, he taught me how to recognize true Muslim. You are so rare. That's the issue. Perhaps, that he is a rare Muslim, and if you say so, I'm inclined to go with what you're saying here. That would be my experience. And even if not rare, then most of them are silent. Most of the Muslims who think that way here in Israel are probably a silent minority or silent majority, but silent nonetheless. And the Arab Israelis, once again, particularly in this war, are doing such an amazing job, and things could be so much worse, but they aren't. And many of them do oppose the horrors and the unspeakable atrocities of October 7th and times before that. Okay. So rare. Budding bromance, said Sneezer. And my comment about if Islam... Sorry, man, I guess I don't... I'm trying to go one by one. Maybe I'm missing it for whatever reason. I'm missing it. I promise you, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm glad that you understand that two brothers are not the same. When I look situation in Palestine, PS, my heart hurts. But I know it's not fault of this guy. People are blind. Well, I'm blind as well. I'm blind to many things. I'm blind to most things. Did I finish my tea?
Yep.
Final gulp.
I love tea.
Though namaste, says Splash. I am allergic to compliments. Well, I don't know what to say about that. Good for you.
Wait, that means that you'll get so emotional.
Caesar says, most true Christians are knowing it is not us, but Jesus working through us. Sneezer says, most true Christians are knowing it is not us, but Jesus working through us. Okay, if you say so. Yeah, oh yeah, I heard, thank you. Now, what do you consider a true Christian? Because you speak of most of the world's Sneezer being in a great misunderstanding, plural, right? Misunderstandings. And that hate is misunderstanding, and evil, wickedness is also, right, misunderstanding. So if we're talking about misunderstandings and we're talking about truth and understanding, or overstanding for that matter, what do you consider to be a true Christian? Could you claim, let's say, if you're a follower of Jesus, that Jesus is working through you, all the while not being a true Christian in what you do de facto in the world, practically? Or is it, does it have to align? Meaning, if you know as a true Christian that Jesus is working through you and it's not you, does that mean that you will innately be acting in kindness and in righteousness here in the world? Could you dumb it down for me a bit? Bloodnose says Jesus wasn't white or black, nor black. He looked a lot like HN. Makala? Hey, Pinky, you're being a little bully. You weren't even close to her. He wasn't even close to her. He looked a lot like HN. Possibly. I have no idea. We do come from the same, from the same land. Predating most other images. Raul says, BMXers, we are all brothers, but you mean friends, yes. Robert Harrison, HN, he says, you get a chance to watch the song I posted, Yeshua not black nor white, but an olive complected, with a complected Jew. Okay.
I'll just be...
My name is Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan. It is also my name. My name is Jonathan, but I'm not Jewish. What does my name mean? It means God-given, or God gave. Since people always ask me if I know what it means. Yes, it means Yo is Yod-Vav. Natan is gave or given, or is given.
But it's John, not
Yo.
Jan.
No, it's Yo. Yod-Vav.
But if it would be Jonathan in English, it would sound like Jonathan.
Yes, that's correct.
Jan.
Some people do pronounce a J as a Y, like in Central and in Panama, if I'm not mistaken. So, and in the Netherlands.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jonathan.
So yes, that's what it means. Good to have you here, Jonathan. To worship the name, for example, said Sneezer, would be to demand people call God Jesus or Yeshua, and especially either, not both. Especially either, not both. I see. It's to attach such significance to the name that you won't have it, the divine revelation, called by any other name. I see what you mean. That would be worshiping the tree of life. To worship is to imitate, try to become. Yes, that is correct. Because I can't say I worship God because I don't know God, but I do wish to imitate the way in which God is revealed here in the world, to become that image of God. Did someone say tree? Ella says, hello Ella, good to see you again. Wow, I've been on for almost an hour. What fun, what look. You just assume the two related. Puff, puff, pass, mofo. Ezra says, Adonai, שמור על המשפחה שלי ועל אלה שאני אוהב, הו שומר ישראל שאינו נרדם ואינו ישן, אני מפקיד את רוחי בידיך. Adonai is spelled Aleph Daled Nun Yod, but that's a different way of spelling it in a transliteration. Guard my family and those I love, O keeper of Israel, that does not sleep and does not rest, and does not sleep and does not slumber. I entrust my spirit to your hands. Robert Harrison, HN, will you post something on Instagram again? By all means, it's been a long time since I posted something. What should I post on Instagram? You people tell me, and I will do it, hopefully. Not anything. Steve, hello Steve. Israel in the house. Yofi, yofi. Good to have you here, Mr. Longsleeve. I'm Mr. Shortsleeve. Together we can fight crime. Shazad Pathan. What does Shazad mean?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Compliments can really uplift you, says Paula. I've been shopping and have received a compliment from a stranger, and it has changed the course of my day because it has usually came when I don't feel good about myself, right? You never know at what point you're catching an individual, what the circumstances of his or her life is, and to give, again, a genuine, true compliment with no agenda necessarily, or maybe with, but in that moment giving it truthfully and honestly, many times it can also be received in such a way. And that moment where, let's say, two strangers interact in positivity, it can do them both so much good, I think, in tilting the world a little bit more towards kindness and towards positivity and towards the good element in creation. Bong says, my other account name is Eugene Stoner. He invented the M16. Yes, I remember Eugene Stoner. I used to write for a firearms blog. I used to be their blogger. Bong, LOL, gotta be careful about such claims. Be careful about the claims about Eugene Stoner, or be careful about other claims. Hey Bong, Scooby-Doo is in the house! Hey Bong, I remember you from I-24. L-24 or I-24? I'm not sure. Hey Scooby-Doo, how you doing?
It's I.
I-24, okay?
Yeah, I.
10 years ago, I'd have thought such a place couldn't exist.
Because of this and this. Oh, wait. Maybe.
It's all good. It's all good.
I think
Big Channa, hey Big Channa, how you doing? Hi, hey, hello to you. BMXer said to Sneezer, love your neighbor was quoted by Yeshua from the Torah. What is the oldest religion in the world? The oldest organized religion in the world? I'm assuming you mean organized religion that is still around here. Or do you mean not around here? Are you talking about a religion that's the oldest that is still being practiced, or are you talking about an old religion that is already gone from the world? Which one?
It's still here.
No, that's what I said. They're still here or gone. And then, ironically, from Leviticus, says BMXers, talking about sacrifices. So I don't know for a fact which is the old religion, whether it's still in existence or not. I would think that Hinduism, right, the Hindu faith, is probably, if not the oldest, it's definitely a contender. Probably some tribes in Canada, tribes in South America.
What's a religion?
Tribes in Africa. So in every continent, maybe other than Antarctica or Australia, I think on any continent you could find an ancient or old religion, though I might be wrong. As for what the oldest one is, I don't know. Because if you're talking about religion as in man-made religion with laws and regulations, that's one thing. If you're talking about religion as a way of connecting to spirituality and opening up a channel between you and the divine and raising your consciousness, then that could be even said of the stoned ape theory, right? The Old Testament, says Robert, and Brit Chadasha go hand in hand, complement each other. That's why it matches up. Yes, I've heard that Christians and followers of Yeshua say this, and from the once again, I'll say it, from the only time I've read it, I saw what you mean if we're talking about the gospel, but the rest of it, it's where it veered away. The new covenant was primarily to end the killing. But isn't it ironic that the new covenant that was primarily to end the killing spawned so much war and death and destruction? I think was it BMXers today or someone else asking me in the DMs about the Crusades, or maybe it was Tea Time, incidentally, on X or YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, Hebrew Nazarite across the board. You have something to say? Don't want to say it in the chat? Well, you hit me up in the DMs. Each sold separately.
What are DMs?
Direct messages. BMXer says to Robert, the Book of Mormon also complements the New Testament. Wink, he says. My revelation, Sneezer says, was that it was to end all sacrifices. I'm not sure it's expressly written anywhere. Well, look, it does go with what Christians say Jesus represents. If those who follow Jesus say he represents the epitome of the image of God, and some even say he is God, then that would mean, yes, no more sacrifices necessary. Sacrifices began with Cain and Abel. And by then we were already outside of Eden. Deuteronomy, whoops. Once again, it jumped. It jumped. Where's the chat? Here's the chat.
Why is it happening?
Deuteronomy 4 verse 2 doesn't complement the New Testament. Now, I think that there are a lot of things that don't complement the New Testament in the Torah. Things that even I noticed, and I'm not that knowledgeable. It certainly is abstractly to end all sacrifices. I understand that I can go with. God has given is name meaning of Jonathan. Yes, correct. Hey, Nitzarim Nazarite is here. Hello. Following Yeshua wasn't meant to be any religion, but Birkat Haminim pretty much solidified the separation. Yeah, that's the 19th blessing added to the 18th, the Tfilat Shmoneh Esrei. That's the silent prayer, the meditative, the silent. Well, it's not. Anyway, the silent prayer before the Shliach Tzibur, before the person who is davening for the congregation reads it out loud. That solidified the separation. Yeah. That's right, Birkat Aminim. Again, something which appeared later. Wasn't part of the original Shmoneh Esrei. Sneezer says, he continues, and it's not so much that anything Jesus said differed from the Torah. It's that the Torah contained a lot of encryption which got misunderstood by the common man, who was now learning to read, to read, and he filtered the most important parts to the surface. And while what he said generally didn't disagree with the Torah, it did with popular interpretation. Yes, I'm inclined to agree with that from my, "Hi, you are a beautiful gay man." Why, thank you, New York. Are you a specific borough of New York? And you New York in New York? You know what I'm saying? BMX says, according to Ezekiel's Messianic age predictions, sacrifices will not end until the Messiah makes an animal sacrifice on behalf of the people. Shirk is shutvas. Shirk is shutvas. I don't know what shutvas means, so once again, dumb it down for me, I'm ignorant. Nitzarim says Yeshua didn't end the sacrificial system. In Acts 21, we see Rav Shaul Paul going to the temple for the sole purpose of completing his Nazarite vow, which involved sacrifices. Yes, it did. Hello, everyone. Tejas. Hello. Johnny, you prefer blondes or redheads? I prefer blondes. And I married a blonde. Yeah, that's right. I married a blonde, and I could not be happier. Johnny Hubars. Hi, Johnny. What about you, Johnny? Johnny, do you prefer blondes or redheads? People out there in the chat, what hair do you prefer on your ideal partner? Or not even partner, just a mate.
Johnny and two Jonathans.
Correct.
And
Netzarim Nazarite says, loving Yah and others doesn't abolish the Torah, it upholds it. Correct, I agree with that. And while Christians and followers of Yeshua and I disagree on the nature of the limitations of love, yes, it indeed exactly upholds it. Sneeder said to Netzarim, often Christians don't get the message, and Paul most of all, I think. No, Peter most of all. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, was Peter the first pope? Right? Wasn't he the first pope? Scooby-Doo, Bo was sent to pick figs and slept Bible. Bo was sent to pick figs and slept Bible? Well, Scooby-Doo, you have me mystified and I'm flummoxed. I don't know what to say. So, yes, Bo was sent to pick figs. I would like a couple. And slept Bible. To sleep and dream of the Bible. Why, that would be interesting. Big up to all the Muslims in the IDF, says BMXers. Yes, that is not a given. Are referring to allergic to compliments. Yes, no, I understood that you said that you were allergic to compliments. I just hope that you, if you ever do get one, I hope that you are also able to allow even a tiny bit of it in. Sneezer, so you know more than the apostles?
What does he mean allergic to compliments?
It means that he stays away from them, let's say. Sneezer says, for example, Christians are told not to judge and seek vengeance. Thus, a Christian who does is not being a true Christian. BMXer says, hey, teacher, leave us kids alone. Hey, Tejas, leave us kids alone. Why? Did he say something wrong? Oh, he retracted a message. What did it say? Now, if he retracted it, I won't ask what it said. Sneezer says they are being human, of course, but to be Christian, Sneezer says, is to attempt to follow the example of Christ. Each group has imposters among us, trying to give religion a bad name, and others who simply misunderstand. So, right, we're talking about people who are trying actively to sully the name of that faith, and those who simply misunderstand and they see it through a crooked lens, you say, or a perverse or perverted lens and of misunderstanding, and so they are not acting in the way that it ought to be. Am I understanding that correctly, Sneezer? Teja says, why? Well, I can't answer the why, but he who has a why can bear almost anyhow. Sneezer says, Muslims are told to be humble, submit to God, and respect the scriptures. Thus, those who don't aren't being true Muslim. It's a little harder with Jews. I thought all were fake till I met you. Wow, hey, you know what? I still have things that I am fake about, I'm sure, though I am trying to work on it. You thought all were fake. Not to toot my horn, but to rather understand more about the nature of your perception. When you say they all were fake, how did that manifest? How did that express itself in your dealings with them? I'm curious. Since Jew is both a bloodline, meaning they don't need faith, and a faith, meaning they don't need blood. Yes, it's everything, huh? Jesus looks Mizrachi. Yes, from the east. That's here. The Mid-East. Sneezer says to Netzarim, actually, yes, I do know more than the apostles, whether or not you believe it. Sneezer continues and says to Netzarim, for example, apostles never questioned gravity nor multiverse. It all depends how you classify religion, Sneezer says. Ezra, how do you know? BMXer says it to Ezra. How do you know? What did he say? Oh, that he looked Mizrachi. Right. Hinduism is indeed the oldest religion still alive today, says BMXers. Okay. Paula says, funny story. All right, story time. I locked our keys in our truck this morning, Robert and I, at 7 a.m., trying to pry the window down. Probably looked like we were breaking into the truck if someone were to pass by. Well, give us the epilogue. Don't leave us hanging. What happened? How late were you? Hinduism is often considered the oldest religion, says Bloodnose, with complete scriptural texts dating back 3,000 years. It originated in the Indian subcontinent and is characterized by a variety of practices, such as rituals, meditation, yoga, and temple worship. Yeah, so, Hinduism. If you define religion as lessons of love, the first religion was the hug. Yes, if you define it as love, the first religion was that first embrace of Adam and Chava after, let's say, they were separated, and they were able to be face to face, and they were able to embrace and to become one flesh. It says in the Midrash that the reason why the serpent tempted Eve is because he saw them engaging in copulation, in coitus, out in the open, all butt naked on the field. Incidentally, I've never done that myself, but I hear that that's one of the things where it sounds awesome, but when you actually boink in the field or on the beach, it's just, it's not a fun experience. But they, in Eden, the Midrash says, were just expressing their love in the most immediate, wonderful, intimate, sweet, mind-blowing way, which is sex. And the serpent saw that, and he was like, And the rest is biblical history. That's from Encyclopedia Britannica. Thank you for bringing the precise definition, Bloodnose. That is lovely. If you classify it, if you classify it, says Sneezer, as having some writing, it was on the rock now long ago smashed. BMXer says Robert would love the town I live in now. Lots of truck drivers driving here. Sneezer says the word on it was basically love. On the stone. On a rock that said love. Interesting. Elas says, I think the oldest religion started in Africa, probably from the Bantu, using a circle called the Dikenga or Dikenja. By circle, you mean that was a sacred, a holy artifact, something consecrated? Was this circle a symbol? Was it a physical thing? Let me know. What is the Dikenga? I'd love to know. Or Daikenga? Sneezer says, the root formula for every scripture boils down to love. Lovingly, loved, loving, love. Thus, lovingly loved, loving, more love for English. Ahava. Ahava. Sneezer says, but I also know how many define religion as systems of control, misunderstanding. Shalom all, Ariel says. Shalom to you, Ariel. Good to have you here again. Sneezer says to BMX, you mean Old Testament contradicts itself because of the encryption? I have no color preference, but I love long and straight. So you like a tall girl? Long and straight. Shvutas, shetvis in Hebrew, partner. Oh, shutaf. Shutafim. Okay, partners with God. Gotcha. Binky, come here, girl, says Ezra. Says Robert. Ezra said, BMX, we speak Ladino. Ladino has some nice piyutim. I don't speak the language, but it has some nice, right, the influences, obviously. Sneezer says, yes, Jesus named Peter the head of the church, and Satan. So he named him Satan and head of the church? Or was he the first head of the church of Satan? Incidentally, in LaVeyan Satanism, from the 60s and 70s, and up until now, I knew of Dr. LaVey, Anthony LaVey. I didn't know that he had a daughter that left. And the daughter Zena, Anton LaVey's daughter, Dr. LaVey's daughter, was on the Jordan Peterson podcast. And she had some really interesting insights into the way she perceived Satanism and how she made her way out of it. She's a Buddhist now. Now, I always thought to myself, ever since I was like an early teen, and I understood that there's this concept of Satanism that's not sacrificing cats around a fire, but a real way of life. And later on, when I discovered there's such a thing as the LaVeyan Satanism, right, the modern-day Church of Satan, I said to myself, I can see, if you take a deity out of the equation, how that could be rules to go by. Not perfect at all. Has its flaws, but something there is to it. And I said to myself, if I wouldn't be a theist, if you will, if I wasn't a Hebrew man, and if I didn't have a belief, right, in that which manifests, right, in the divine revelation, if I didn't have faith in that, and I would be, I would be more of that Satanist existentialist type, not necessarily nihilist, but the things that I've read in the Satanic Bible by Dr. LaVey, and I haven't read all of it, it just seems to me that there's some very raw and human, something very raw and human about it. It doesn't mean you need to be a Satanist to follow those rules. It means that when I came across Satanism, I was like, you know what? Some parts of this make sense. I could see myself being a Satanist if I didn't have God in my life, or at least pick and choose from Satanism. And part of the things that Zena said, her last name escapes me, but part of the things that his daughter said, because I haven't thought of Satanism since I haven't read the texts, any of the texts. I still love Marilyn Manson, and I love Antichrist Superstar, and I love Mechanical Animals. Those are some great albums, man, that he put out one after the other. Anyway, I digress. That vibe, right? That satanic vibe. Though I don't think he was a Satanist. Marilyn Manson, I don't think he is a Satanist. Point is, Satanism was never an option for me, but I saw some things there that kind of struck a chord with me. So even if I wouldn't want to follow it, it was something that I would look into even more if I wasn't, but I'm not inclined to go that way. It simply would be something that I would look into. Yonatan, bevakasha, can you read gospel in the future, says Robert. I might. No effing way, says BMXers. Constantine was the first pope. Peter was not even a bishop. Sneezer says, is there any way to tell 100% someone is not a Jew? Someone who you would automatically kill for? Is there any way to tell somebody is not a Jew? I don't know. I don't think there's any automatic way. Tejas pronounced Tejas. House is Spanish for Texas. Oh, look at that. Sneezer says, I can't really define it, but none I've met look beyond Torah for truth. Well, I look beyond Torah, but it always comes back to Torah. So, is there a difference? According to you, there is, so I'll go with that. Sneezer says, no, but the Old Testament... BMXer says to Sneezer, no, but the Old Testament contradicts itself in a few places as well. Sneezer says to BMXers, New Testament doesn't contradict itself when you understand it. Where we see Scripture as conflicting, we misunderstand. Bloodnose says, I don't trust stairs. They're always up to something. Ah! Dad joke time. Bloodnose says, Sneezer says, I find it remarkable. Thank you for the joke, Bloodnose. People, give your best dad joke, or whatever comes to mind. I find it remarkable how much we agree except on the one Jesus thing. Yes, that's where I draw the line. That's the line, and I truly mean that that's the line. Which is why I also, like I say, I have no problem with saying he was potentially the Messiah, potentially a king, potentially a sage and a prophet, and all of that. Potentially the greatest manifestation of the divine image that ever has come into being. And then he died. End of story. Sneezer says, which I take as you understanding the Torah, whereas all others I've met didn't. Wow. Again, I strive to understand the Torah, but even that, the way that I strive to understand it now, is serving my cafeteria faith. So, but definitely in the past, even when I was keeping very strict halacha, I wanted to understand the Torah because our sages say that the Torah is the blueprint of creation. If you understand the Torah, you understand yourself better. If you understand the connection between yourself and the Torah, you understand creation better. And when you have that idea of we are all one, right, of that Israel and nations, of the world, the Torah, the time, space, we're all one, that whole thing. Through Torah, you're able to find a connection to all of those things, which is why I say, regarding the psychedelic experience, that yeah, you could have one that is substance-induced, but you should definitely have others that are not substance-induced. And in those times where you're feeling the unity and the oneness of everything, that can be through Torah study. That can be through meditating on specific names of God. It can be through doing a good deed. Sneezer, not what I mean at all. I'll show you in the comments section, says BMXers. Ezra says, Abraham, Ibrahim, Brahma. Ah, I think I have heard that connection before. That is lovely, though I can't tell. I can't tell when was the last time I heard it. So it still comes as a revelation to me. Avraham Ibrahim Brahma. Yes, that's right. Look at that. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Paula says, after much sweat and strength, we got the window down. Woohoo! Good for you. Yagata umatzata ta'amin, so they say in Pirkei Avot. If you toil and then you find, believe in it. Or in other words, easy come, easy go. But if you sweat and exert strength, then you earned it. Sneezer says to Ezra, no, Brahman is everything, universe, God. Ezra, do you think that's Shiva? Right, so Shiva is what? Shiva is an avatar? Or is it God? I don't recall. Abraham, a British or American man. Ibrahim, not Avraham, who did not travel to Arabia and built the Kaaba. Right, so BMXers from not Avraham. Right, so you're saying it's the English and the Arabic and the Hebrew. Look it up, Dikenga, Google. Very well, since you say that now, I shall. Dikenga, or the Dikenga cross, or the Yawa, a core symbol in the religion. I see. Okay, I'll look into that, definitely. No long and straight hair, said Sneezer. Oh, no, long and straight hair. Tall, short, doesn't matter either. Oh, okay. Long and straight. Sorry, I was thinking tall and straight. Heterosexual. I didn't quite get it, but tall, okay. A long hair, straight hair. Gotcha. Who are you talking to? Oh, cool. Well, as usual, both. The Kinga Congo Cosmogram. Satan and Church of Satan, yes, that video was fascinating. The Satanism daughter, yeah, that was really fascinating. The Congo Cosmogram, also called Yawa or Dikenga Cross. Sneezer says, when understood, so one branch, Luciferianism worships Satan's inevitability of learning to be God, good, keeper of the sacred knowledge, but the other branch is sick. I understand what you mean. The other branch is sick. אלוהים בקבלה מתכוון לכוח הטבע הכללי. כאשר מלבד הכוח הזה שום דבר לא קיים. לא, זה לא ששום דבר לא קיים. זה לא ששום דבר לא קיים. Elohim, right. So he says Elohim in the Kabbalah means the power, the general forces of nature. And other than that force, nothing exists. אז לא, אני חולק עליך, תלוי בקבלה שאתה לומד. אני יודע שלפחות לפי הרמה, כשמביא את זה מהזוהר, אלוהים מתגלה בכמה מובנים. במלכות, ובגבורה, ובבינה. והעניין הזה של כוח הטבע הכללי, כוח הטבע שהוא 4 יסודות, מתייחס לחסד, גבורה, תפארת ומלכות, ולבב קצוות. מלבד הכוח הזה שום דבר לא קיים, אני חולק עליך. Right? If we're saying that, if you're saying, Ezra, that Elohim in the Kabbalah means that nature and that force alone exists, I disagree. But if you mean it's something which pertains to the physical and to Malchut, then yes, I do agree. But I also am saying that Malchut has nothing of its own. Malchut gets, right, what is shot into her, what is revealed to Malchut, what is brought down into Malchut through Yesod. So Nezer says, and when understood, the Satanism simply enjoys consensually the sensations of humanity, gifts of God, though again, the other branch is sick. Okay, so we even agree on that. We even agree on the fact that Satanism has its ways of being understood in such a way where it's not awful. Almania Koza. It can also be one of those things which works on a private individual level, but not as a church, not as an establishment. Ezra says to Sneezer, I am very good friends with Hindus. I can relate with them through Kabbalah. I can see that right now. The Sfirot and the Chakrot. I get it. I hear you. There are many Hindu perspectives, Sneezer says to Ezra. He continues, what Hindu god do you consider to be everything, the universe, the dreamer? BMXer says, where is the Canadian Rastafarian tonight? Well, we might see him, we might not. Who knows? Nitzarim says, I also reject the Christian Jesus. However, I believe the biblical Yeshua. Christian Jesus and biblical Yeshua aren't the same. Right, so we can agree on that. That in my glance across the New Testament, I saw that the gospel, let's say, had the biblical Yeshua, while the rest of it was leaning towards the Christian Jesus. BMXer says he said he wanted to... Oh, whoops. He said he wanted to sit it again. To sit it again? HN didn't put up his usual 10-hour notice. Yes, that is correct. I only remembered to create the live stream moments before I went live. That joke was funny, needed to translate. Sneezer says to Nitzarim, many Christian perspectives too. You likely agree with several. Could be. No, says Sneezer, the Brahman, Shiva, Vishnu is a trinity, a top deistic forces. They all have avatars who appear throughout history.
Can I have your noodles?
You want to have my noodles? I didn't know I have noodles. You made me noodles?
Please.
You made me noodles?
No.
Oh, I'm supposed to have a packet?
Chicken.
You may have my noodles, good sir.
Okay.
Wait. Is this part of a dare? Come here, boyo. Is this part of a dare or a prank or a challenge?
I want to eat.
Eat.
Okay.
My dad's sense of humor, I would say, Dad, you going to check the mail? His reply every time was, I wish there was a check in the mail. Yeah, a real dad, huh? May you rest in peace, Paula. LOL, nice, said Sneezer. When in doubt, lean towards the gospel. Sneezer says the gospel is mostly Jesus' words. I have a video of just Jesus' words from the gospel, 4 hours long, comparing each. I believe I titled it Gospel According to Sneezer, or Of a Sneezer, maybe. And this, good people, is the end of the chat for today. And it's been an hour and a half. It is so much fun. Once again, I don't know if you people are out there putting yourself out there. I don't know if you are creators. I don't know if you do things and send your bread upon the water, digital or otherwise. But to be here live, raw, with all of, with warts and all, and be able to speak about these amazing things and try to bring them down to the earth and how we behave in the world, at least that's how I see it. And again, we are able to do it with a good disposition, right, by and large. And people, I won't ever stop thinking that's awesome. There's so much strife and keyboard horrors on the internet. And to be able to come together almost every night of the week in the last few months and be able to do this on a regular basis, it's not something I take for granted, not for a second, nor that you would take time out of your busy day, and I don't doubt that it is, to view me and to be here with the group. I love studying with you, and I love learning with you, and informing myself right along with you. It's a dialogue, it's a live stream, and I'm so happy to be here for it and to facilitate it in the way that I can. And to be the host and the co-host and something of a moderator. So, good night from Jerusalem. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. I appreciate it. Every like, every sub, every view, even if it's just for a second, let alone the regulars. You good people. Sneezer and Splashfuzz and Ezra and Robert and Ella and Paula. Nitzarim Nazarite, Ariel Marshall, old school people here continuing. Bloodnose. Who else was here? Yeah, Tejas was here. Anyway, new people and old people, and it's just so much fun. So much fun. God willing, I will get to the chats from, from last week? I don't know, there's a backlog.
I was gonna remember you, but
There's a backlog. There is a backlog.
You
God
missed
willing.
a lot.
God willing, I will go to what? While I'm talking?
No, about last week.
Yes, I know.
Yesterday.
I'm having so much fun here, but I I want to give them.
Missing
I want to give these good people here 110%. And if I'm feeling kind of tired, and it's a good time to say
You're
goodbye.
missing like 20% of all the comments.
מה לעשות, כפרה עליך.
Too bad nowadays 2009.
God bless. God willing. See you tomorrow evening. Right? It's gonna be Wednesday. Right? Wednesday tomorrow. Wednesday, 9 p.m. Jerusalem time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're. No. You are greatly appreciated, good folks. See you tomorrow, God willing.
And yeah.